The Detroit Lions were a half away from their first ever Super Bowl appearance. And while it's something I will never forget, I will move on. It is time for us to face the 2024 NFL season. And for the first time in a long time, Super Bowl and Detroit Lions is being used in the same sentence. And after coming off that 2022 season, after the way we started and the way we finished, heading into 2023, expectations were pretty high, but they were high for our standards, winning a division. Nobody really thought we were going to go and potentially win the conference, and we had it in our hands that first half hour. But that seems like ancient history, because now the time has come for us to make amends of that colossal failure in that second half of the NFC title game. And I find it weird that, not weird, but unique, that all of these, that the Detroit Lions are being mentioned in the Super Bowl. Like, this is surreal in a way. And we know that Dan Campbell just told his guys, look, Super Bowl is so far away. We've got to take care of the division. We've got to take care of the conference, home field advantage, first seed, all of that stuff. The Super Bowl is so far away. Let's not set our sights on that. Let's focus on the smaller goals first, right? And then, but of course, everybody's thinking that. So to hear our teams be mentioned, our team being mentioned in that group is quite unique. And if you have been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that we've been following when pundits and predictions are made about our team and how far they actually go. Peter King, who's now retired, spoke, I think it was heading into last year, about what he expected of the Detroit Lions. And I believe that we pretty much lived up to that. So when it comes to numbers and things like that, this is very interesting to me, predictions, because some of these are based solely on numbers. Like, most of these predictions are based on numbers. You input the data somewhere, and this is what comes out. For those of you who don't know, in 2022, when we started 1-6, this same power index, if I'm not mistaken, picked us to have the worst defense in the history of the NFL. And believe it or not, the first 7 games, we were on pace to do that, but we tightened it up, and the rest was history. So I found this very interesting, and we're going to keep tabs on this during the season, but how the ESPN did a simulation in which the Detroit Lions, it's a caveat to this, but in one of their simulations, the Detroit Lions won the Super Bowl. Now, here's the thing. If you know me, you know that I am a believer in NFL storylines, 100%. And the storylines last season were very clear. And if you look at my videos, I predicted a lot of the storylines for the Detroit Lions. But they were very clear last year. This year, they're a little more muddled to start the season. Not a very clear storyline. But I feel like this one right here could be a storyline. Now, the Detroit Lions, you can see from the banner there, according to the ESPN Power Index. And what is the Power Index? The Football Power Index, a predictive rating system developed by ESPN that measures team strength and uses it to forecast game and season results in American football. So that is the Football Power Index. All right. And according to that same Football Power Index, the Detroit Lions, here's what they have the Detroit Lions doing. Having the third best odds to win the Super Bowl at 10.3 under the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. We have a 17% chance to make the Super Bowl, a 32% chance to make the NFC title game, a 56.2 chance to win the division or make the division. Okay, I think that's divisional round. To win the division, 52, and to make the playoffs, 80.6% with the record of 10-6. That's pretty low to me. That's pretty low. I think my floor is 11-5, and 11-6, and that would be based off if someone was hurt. So let me see, 11-6 win-loss proposal. So we're missing a game somewhere in here. Projected win-loss. Okay. However they do this, right? However they do it. All right, but here is what I really wanted to show you. This is the simulation that ESPN cooked up, that same power index. Here's how Super Bowl 59 is going to go. It says Super Bowl 59 was an offensive showcase. The Chiefs' offense had early control and stake Kansas City to a 28-14 lead midway through the fourth quarter. So if you follow, the Detroit Lions are down 2 scores with 7.5 minutes to go. But even though cornerback Trent McDuffie held Lions star receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown in check, running back Jahmyr Gibbs recorded 80 yards and 2 touchdowns receiving. Seems like light work for St. Brown. That would be holding him in check. After the second Gibbs touchdown cut Kansas City lead to 8 points, Campbell went for 2 and converted. That sounds about right, cutting the deficit to 6. That set up the game's unlikely hero. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond scored on an 8-yard touchdown pass from Goff with 3 minutes left to play, giving the Lions a 29-28 lead. The suspense, man. For once, the storybook finish didn't materialize for Mahomes. After a quick first down, the Chiefs found themselves with a 4th and 10 on their own 39-yard line. Mahomes fired a pass to receiver Rashee Rice, but Detroit safety Brian Branch swatted it away, allowing the Lions to kneel out the clock for a 29-28 victory and giving the franchise its first NFL title since 1957. That kind of gives me goosebumps, man. And it's crazy. So Lions left Arrowhead. Just think about it. In 5 days, last year, a year ago, in 5 days, man, we were going to Arrowhead. I was packing up, about to go. You know, it's ironic. The night before I went to Arrowhead, I couldn't sleep, and last night I couldn't sleep. Weird, man. Maybe it's a football thing, but I did take a nap. Don't worry about it. But we won by 1 point, 21-20, and it was almost the same thing, dramatic fashion. We were up by 1. The Detroit Lions, Kansas City had the ball last and was stuck with a 4th and 25, and none of those receivers could catch the ball. And the main culprit, Kadarius Toney, is no longer on the team. But this is crazy right here. And it's kind of eerie, man, because you got all this AI and all this, data-driven stuff and how it's becoming a thing. And is there any possibility that this could happen? Now, again, the simulation was run 20,000 times. This was just one of the outcomes from that simulation. But let's go back to the storylines. One of the storylines that I could see, okay, just stay with me here, is, and listen, don't be hating, man, because I predicted a lot of this stuff, man. Like, if you literally go back and you watch the whole Rams thing, I knew what was happening there. I predicted the whole thing, right? So here's one of the early storylines, and really the only storyline that I really see right now. I haven't really sat down and looked at the NFL as a whole, but the Detroit Lions are part of that storyline. Back in 2021, the storyline was Matthew Stafford. You knew right off the bat he was going to win the Super Bowl. At least I did. On the cover of every magazine, some of those games that he escaped with were very questionable, from safeties dropping interceptions to Cooper Kupp beating somebody deep to get a last-second field goal. Very reminiscent of Stafford in Dallas, right? So if we look at the storyline for this season is the Chiefs, and it might just be that primary one, that the Chiefs are on the verge of history, winning a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, which has never been done in the 58-year history that the Super Bowl has been around. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they are the story. I think everyone else is secondary kind of players in that story. But what I could see is a team that there are 2 different stories that I kind of could see it going. It depends on how it plays out. One, that it would only be the Detroit Lions, because the Detroit Lions are the only NFC OG team. Matter of fact, the only NFC team to never appear in the Super Bowl. So how fitting would it be that the Detroit Lions, the only NFC team to never appear in a Super Bowl, okay, beat the Kansas City Chiefs on the verge of three-peating? And if it was like this, oh my goodness. So that's the main storyline, is the Kansas City Chiefs. That's just my opinion, with the Lions being role players and things like that. There is another possibility that I see as well, and that is 2 brand new teams that have never been. There have been 4 teams to never appear in the Super Bowl: the Texans, the Lions, the Browns, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Detroit Lions are the only NFC team that has never made it, so we've established that. So the Detroit Lions should be in the Super Bowl, but that an AFC team, the Browns, Jaguars, or Texans, could go to the Super Bowl, and it'll be two brand new teams in the Super Bowl. And not only will that stop the Chiefs three-peat, it'll also usher in two new fan bases that haven't been to the Super Bowl. If I had to pick, I could see the Chiefs either making it or the Texans upsetting the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game to face the Detroit Lions. And that would be a matchup right there. To tell you the absolute truth, I think I would much rather play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl than the Texans. That's just, the Texans going to be, they got a thing going over there. They're going to be an AFC powerhouse very, very soon, and they'll stick around for a while. But I'm not scared. I'm just simply saying I think we would match up much better against the Chiefs than we would the Houston Texans. You're talking about an up-and-coming team, but that would be a fight, though, right there. So let me know what you think of the ESPN Football Power Index, one of their simulations, and what kind of do you see for this coming season? We know that the Detroit Lions in Super Bowl, that's all we've been talking about. We were that close to our first one, and a lot of people have us back into contention to make that thing. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Detroit Lions make it? Well, be honest. And who do you think we face? Do you think the Chiefs make it back and we beat them, or do you think that it could be an upset? I think right now it's 50-50. I think that the Chiefs, that is the storyline, and the NFL is going to try to keep that storyline going as long as possible, and then maybe toward the end we'll see a shift. I'm not going to say a shift in power because I think the Chiefs are going to be around for a while, but where the Chiefs have won 3 of the last 5. So where you take a year off, the Chiefs, the three-peat is stopped. Now they got to start all over. They take a year off. Still got a dynasty, no doubt. And then they're back at it next year. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My executive members and my director members, the fantasy football, we had to join together because there just wasn't enough people on the second tier membership. So we are, and right now we're currently under 16 players. Okay. I will close that draft very, very soon. It will be tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So everything's cool. My recruit members, we drafted yesterday, and we're looking forward to a good fantasy football season. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. This would be crazy if this happens. I do think that the Detroit Lions are going to make it to a Super Bowl and win it. And I think that they're going to actually win their first one. And like I said before, if I had to deal with the pain of last year to not lose our first Super Bowl, I'll trade that anyway. But I think the storyline is the Chiefs, but the role player, like the B storyline is the Detroit Lions knocking off, making to their first Super Bowl, winning their first Super Bowl, and stopping a three-peat. How's that for storylines?